Hey, what is up, everybody, and welcome to, I just noticed I had this huge bruise. Who knows? I don't know. As you get older, things happen, and they just appear, and I don't know why. Anyways, welcome to our Mystic Road Trip. It's Monday, so therefore this episode is all about magical, mystical, spiritual kind of wellness and things like that. I am your host, Kim. I am a tarot reader, an astrologer. Basically, I am someone who really truly believes that mystical, magical spirituality can help with wellness, and I believe that the universe has its hands in our everyday life. It's just kind of something I do. And so I started this podcast because I wanted to learn more about some of the more mystical, spiritual wellness kind of things I had no idea about. And because it's my calling and duty in this life to learn things and share it, that's why I started this podcast, because I started this mystical road trip of mine to help me try to figure out the things that are going to help me along my path and the things that resonate with me. And hopefully in that way, I'm going to share some stuff that resonates with you. Not all this is going to resonate with me, but maybe it's going to resonate with you. And that is what I'm here to do, is to share it with you. And if that sounds cool, then this is the place to go. This is a place to be. I do 2 episodes, one on Monday, one on Thursday. Thursdays is solely dedicated to tarot, where I take one card each week and I kind of do a deep dive into it and talk about some important things that might help you with a tarot practice, if that's what you have. So let's get started. Typically, and everything, if you've never been here, I do some housekeeping and some shameless plugging, and then I do something called Our Week in the Stars. Our Week in the Stars is where I basically take a couple of astrological events that I think are pretty important and talk about them and give you some ideas of how to navigate the energies. And that's kind of what I'm going. I'm sorry if you hear that. That's my neighbors. So I can't really turn that off. So today's topic is going to be chromotherapy. And how it can be used, and the science behind it, and the magic behind it, and all that kind of good stuff. But of course, like I said, before we get started, let's start with housekeeping. If you want to reach out to me, there's ways to do that in the description box. There's also ways to support the podcast financially, and if you can't do it financially, and by all means, I completely understand, if you would just rate, review, share, thumbs up, all that kind of good, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, that would be absolutely amazing. It gets me out there in the algorithm, and it shows the platforms that I'm on, both Spotify and YouTube, that people are interested, and then it sends me out to more people, and then more people can be interested, and we can build a community where we can have good conversations and help each other learn and grow and find our way on this crazy world we live in. If you want more information, you can always check out the Medium publication. There's links in the description box to that as well. And there's also links to my other podcast called Where All the Ladies At. It is a history podcast, so if you're into women, if you're into history, you might want to check it out. It's pretty cool. This month we are covering sun goddesses for the magical, for the mythical and legend portion, and women who stood up to fascism and female philosophers in the other portion. So if you're interested in that, check that out too. There's ways to do that in the description box. All right, so now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about Our Week in the Stars. Okay, so there's a couple big things happening this week. In general, March is kind of a crazy month. And just as an overview, we had the 369 portal. We have a full moon, which I'll talk about in Virgo, which is also a lunar eclipse. And then we have a new moon in Aries later in the month. And that is has a solar eclipse attached to it. And then there's also Ostara, or spring equinox. So lots of stuff happening in March. It's a pivotal month this year. And so let's talk about just this week, though. All right, so we're going to move ahead to March 12th, which is Wednesday. The sun in Pisces is going to conjunct Saturn in Pisces, and the moon is going to enter into Virgo. So breaking these kind of down, let's talk about sun in Pisces conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So first of all, Pisces. It's there, and it's dreamy, and it's very into spirituality and intuition, right? So when the sun aligns with Saturn and Pisces, so a conjunction is when two planets are in the same sign, okay? And because they're in the same sign, it intensifies the qualities of that sign. So because it is in Pisces, it's going to intensify our dreams and our responsibilities. Pisces is very much about intuition, spirituality, imagination. Saturn is structure and discipline and limitation. So those two planets' energies are going to merge together and be amplified with the Pisces focus, right? So this alignment could potentially bring a sense of responsibility towards your personal vision, dreams, creative projects. You might find it's much easier to turn abstract ideas into practical realities on this day. I would say the best way to use this energy is to just do some serious self-reflection on your goals, on your dreams. The energies of this day want you to merge your creative and spiritual desires with practical action. So it's definitely going to be some hard work to ground your aspirations, because anybody who is a dreamer has that. But it's a powerful moment to really reflect on your boundaries and your discipline. If you've kind of been avoiding responsibility in any area of your life, it's time to face that head on. This is a great day for a lot of self-reflection on that aspect. The moon entering Virgo, this is attention to detail. So that energy coupled with this energy really says to me, take some time to really self-reflect and pay attention to the small details, right? Emotions are going to be more easily processed when you sit down and you analyze and organize, as opposed to just kind of like going with your natural indication. You're going to probably feel like maybe you want to tidy up your environment, maybe sort through your thoughts, or kind of review your plans. All this energy works really well together. Because the energy of this, when the moon does move into Virgo, I would say get practical and look at the small little details, right? Good time for organizing, good time for decluttering, maybe setting up systems that support your long-term goals. But don't overthink. And that could be the potential of this energy, right? Or try to be perfect, because Virgos do have a perfectionist streak, and that energy is going to be amplified. And mixed with the other energy, I think you might find there is an inclination towards that. So just try not to focus too much on what isn't perfect, and just focus more on like the getting the little stuff done and being organized. I think this energy actually plays really well together, as long as you don't overthink and get too bogged down in being perfect. And I think if you can do that, then the energies of the 12th is going to be pretty amazing. Okay, so now we're going to go to the big day. Okay, so on the 14th, which is a Friday, the sun in Pisces is going to sextile Uranus and Taurus. You have a Virgo lunar eclipse, and you have the moon entering Libra. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff happening, right? So let's, like I always want to do, let's take each thing on its own. So the sun in Pisces is going to sextile Uranus and Taurus. So this is a harmonious aspect, right? So it's going to blend creativity and innovation. Uranus is sudden changes and surprises, and Pisces, as I said, is imaginative and intuitive. This sextile could help break old patterns and ways of thinking. It might open you. You may feel much more receptive to new ideas and perspectives. This day could bring an unexpected breakthrough in a project that you've been working about, especially if it's a creative or spiritual project. And you might feel super energized to embrace like new, unconventional ways of living, whatever that means for you. I think for me, the the best way to embrace this is to really just embrace surprises, anything creative that comes up. It's a good time to kind of break free from like old patterns, try something new, especially if it's unconventional. If it's something that you're like, I don't know, that doesn't seem like normal. That might be the time to go and do it. Go with the flow kind of things. But I would say, because Taurus is an earth sign, I would say also try to stay grounded in practicality. And just be warned that Uranus, its surprises aren't always very easy to take in. A lot of the time they can be very overwhelming. So just know that portion, right? Now let's talk about real quick. Now I did a whole episode on the moons of March. So if you want really more detail on the Virgo lunar eclipse, I would say go watch that or listen to that, because it's more in depth. Here I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview. So so first of all, lunar eclipse in Virgo, it's really a very powerful time to kind of release what's not serving you anymore. Especially health, in areas like health, work, daily routines, because Virgo is a earth sign. That is the realm it rules over. The full moon energy definitely intensifies that. And Virgos, as we said, are perfectionists, attention to detail. The eclipse could really bring this like really deep feeling of like being self-critical, overworking, and neglecting your personal well-being. So that is the one thing I would say watch out for with these energies. The advice I would say, just let go. Reflect on what you've been too hard on yourself about. Don't focus on perfection. Or if there's something that you've been focusing on that you don't think you're perfect in, or like you've been neglecting your health, this is not the time to do it. Release it. Let it go. Use this energy to really kind of like release those patterns. It's a great time to clear out your physical and mental clutter. Really pay attention to your work-life balance, because this energies of this day are really meant to help you reset when it comes to your routine and well-being. So if you were thinking about starting new routines, particularly when it comes to, as I said, like your home, your career, your health, all those things, physical health, it's a great day to do that. On top of all this, the moon is going to go from Virgo into Libra later in the day. So this is going to basically usher in like a feeling that you really want balance and harmony and partnership. Emotions could sway into being more easily processed through relationships, and you're going to find that you're going to be really looking at fairness and compromise. So this is a great smooth transition from the energy you had prior to this, right? So all these energies play very well together. I would say as the moon goes into Libra, it's really a good time to think about your relationships and focus on finding harmony in your interaction with others. If you have had conflicts, maybe it's time to really like approach them with like fairness and like a respect. It's a good time to beautify your surroundings, so like, or indulge in like a creative partnership. And as long as it fosters cooperation and balance, this is going to be good energy to do that. And that's kind of the energies of Friday the 14th. So let's move to March 15th, which is obviously Saturday. By the way, what I didn't mention in March is there's a bunch of retrogrades. Merry Christmas. I think Venus is in retrograde, Mercury's in retrograde. There's a couple other, I don't have them all listed here, but the one that starts on March 15th is Mercury retrograde, and it begins in Aries. So, retrogrades have this horrible reputation, but I think it's all how you look at it, right? So you might, the Mercury retrograde might bring some disruptions in communication and technology. Travel plans could get messed up. With it being in Aries, it could also bring like sudden communication, the energy, the feeling of wanting to make just snap decisions, and it could also usher in misunderstandings, especially around self-assertion and independence. Now, Aries is a fiery sign, right? So it's very much like a doer. It's very much like a go, go, go thing. So the energy could make you want to rush into things. But Mercury is asking, the retrograde is asking you to slow down. So this could be like a little unbalanced. What I would say is, I think going with the Mercury flow is probably the better option, although the Aries energy is going to make you do what's going to make you do, right? So I don't think retrogrades is as scary as people think they are. They can be rough. But I think if you think about it more as a period of like really slowing down and taking your time to consider things and analyze things and reconsider things, I think it's actually a really great energy. So that's just my opinion. If you want to know what I think, how you can use the energies, I think, step back before acting on your ideas. I think counting to 10, taking a moment, because impulsive decisions could potentially lead to misunderstandings and miscommunications. So just take a little extra time and really think things through. Don't start anything new or sign any new contracts if you can. Instead, this is the time to reflect on projects, maybe revise old plans, and really try to reconnect with people from your past. If you feel things are a little out of sync, it's probably the retrograde. So just try not to get too frustrated. Give yourself some grace. I think that's the big thing during a retrograde. That's kind of how I look at it. I know retrogrades, everybody's like, oh, it's a retrograde. And yeah, it can be rough, but also it is time. It is the universe saying, hey, it's time to slow down and re-examine things and maybe refocus and just taking your time to really decide what's going on in your life and where you want to go. And that's kind of how I look at retrograde. So that is it for our week in the stars. So now we can jump into the topic of the day, which is chromotherapy. And this is something I kind of know a little bit about, not a lot. I went to art school, so obviously I have color theory, and I know the idea that certain colors make you feel certain ways. But to use it in your, and I do know, like, we use certain colored candles for certain things, right? I get that idea. I don't necessarily prescribe to it all the time, but I do know that it is there. But I haven't really dove into it as a way of therapy, even though I do know that there's a lot of good things. So let's talk about what chromotherapy is. So chromotherapy or color theory is this alternative healing practice that uses colors to promote physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It is grounded in the idea that each color has its own frequency or vibration that can really impact your body and mind, right? In certain ways. Does this really work? The scientific community has kind of mixed opinions, and we'll talk a little bit about the science behind it in a little bit. Some studies suggest that colors can influence aspects like heart rate and blood pressure and mood, but there's still no conclusive proof that color therapy can cure medical conditions. But a long-standing use of chromotherapy has been used throughout history, and there are a lot of personal accounts that say they have experienced increased benefits. So it's kind of that situation where it's like do all your research and find out. Here's the thing. As I said, color therapy has been used. Hold on, I got a second, guys. Color therapy has been used throughout history, right? Ancient civilizations were fascinated with the connection between color and light and health. So long before it became this modern, and I'll use the term fad, it's not really a fad, but it is becoming more prevalent. It was utilized to do that. So let's take a little trip back in time. We're going to talk about the Chinese because that's probably the place most people, I think Chinese and the Indian kind of thing, most people know color is big there. But it actually has been found to go all the way back to ancient Egypt. Color wasn't just for decoration, it was used for healing. In fact, Egyptians built special color chambers chambers that were designed to expose people to different colors to treat their ailments, right? These chambers were thought to harness the power of the color to really energize or calm specific organs and systems in the body. For example, blue was thought to help calm inflammation, right? And yellow was thought to stimulate the digestive system. The Egyptians believed that by aligning the body's energy with the right color, balance and health could be restored. It wasn't just buildings and chambers, though. Even the ancient Egyptian rituals and spiritual practices used it, right? They would incorporate colored stones and fabrics and paints in their everyday life. All of this in order to help connect them with the divine, right? So let's go to color and let's talk about chi, right? On the other side of the world, not really, a little bit away, medicine also had kind of this deep understanding of colors. In traditional Chinese medicine, the concept of qi plays a central role in health, right? Qi is the life force or energy that flows through all living things, and the Chinese believe that certain colors could help balance and regulate the flow of that qi within you, right? Each color was kind of associated with one of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And each element, in turn, was linked to specific organs of the body. So, for example, red was linked with the heart and the fire element. So green was tied to the liver and the wood element, right? By using the color in therapeutic way, practitioners could attempted to ensure that the chi flowed freely, maintaining both the physical and emotional harmony, right? So that's kind of cool. Then if we go to Greece, right, the use of color was also tied to well-being, right? The Greeks recognized the profound effect of light and color. The temples, colored glasses were often used to filter sunlight. This created specific colors in the space, and this was thought to influence mood and consciousness of individuals. It was more than just to look pretty. It was actually believed that light could alter a person's state of mind and help them connect with higher levels, right? So that brings us to modern day. So if you fast forward to modern day, chromotherapy has kind of evolved into a more structured practice, used on holistic therapies like aromatherapy, sound therapy. Some modern chromotherapists use colored lights or visualizations. Sometimes red light might be used to stimulate energy and circulation. Blue light is used for calm, right? So when you take art classes too, you learn color theory, right? And it's still the same basic principle. If I'm going to paint a room a color, I don't want to paint it bright red. If it's meant to be a calming light, right? If it's like a baby's bedroom, I don't want to paint it red. You want to paint it yellow, blue, greens are nice, right? These are all meant to emotionally connect with us, right? So let's talk a little bit about science. So there's some skepticism, as is typically the case when it comes to holistic practices, right? The science behind chromotherapy is a little bit there's no doubt that colors on a psychological and emotional level affect us, right? If you see red, you can feel energized, right? Blue relaxes you, like we said. There's tons of evidence on how that affects us, right? And tons of research, but there's not a lot of evidence. It's very limited on how colors directly affect us physically, right? Now, me being me, what I would say is that if it affects us emotionally and psychologically, then color therefore affects us physically, because our brain really does everything for us, right? Our brain and our gut. So I would say our brain is our psychological and our gut is our emotional. That's how I look at it. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's just how I feel. That's how I translate everything, right? Some studies suggest that certain colors might influence your heart rate, your blood pressure, or even brainwave activity, but nothing is like definitive. But there are a lot of people that report feeling better after chromotherapy. It's from a light session or a visualization or just surrounding themselves with certain colors. It does seem that the key to chromotherapy might be as much about perception and emotional resonance as it is about actual physical effect, right? So once again, I'm a nerd. So what I will say is that our brain and our gut release neurotransmitters and they talk to each other. So if a color calms me down, then my brain is going to send something to my body. Those neurotransmitters affect how my body functions. The messages and everything that goes to where it does, and it controls how things work in my body. So therefore, logically, in my mind, once again, if color affects your mind and your emotion, it affects your physical body, right? It just makes sense to me. Now, how do you navigate using the energies of color? So, it's pretty interesting, I think. There's a few ways you can do this. You got to choose, for instance, let's talk about it. Choose a color that matches your current needs, right? So, each color is associated with different emotional and physical effects. So if you're feeling anxious or stressed, like blues and greens are great. They believe to help soothe your mind and restore balance. If you're feeling sluggish or uninspired, brighter colors like yellow or orange might be good. Use color in your environment. You don't have to dive into like all the complexities of certain treatments or therapies. Simply just change the colors around you. You can see the difference, right? Whether that's your walls, your clothing, or even like just bedding. Using different colors that really resonate can really have a subtle effect on you, right? And your mood and your energy. Mindful color visualization is also really cool. I do this a lot when I'm doing spell work and that kind of stuff. I'll envision certain color light in a certain spot, and this is meant to help me like focus the energy on that. If you can't access colored lights or special healing chambers, you can just use your power of your mind, right? So you can imagine like a golden light surrounding you, and that can promote healing and energy. Cool lights for calm and mind, and and when you're stressed out, all these things can work out well. Also, like look at your natural inclinations, right? So pay attention to the colors you naturally gravitate towards. Do you like bright red? Oh, and then you feel confident. You like darker shades because you're introspective. Your subconscious makes these decisions, and it prefers certain colors, and that may offer an insight into what your body and your mind are seeking at that moment, right? So I think that that's kind of a cool way to use them. So other things, of course, chromotherapy, when it comes to the magical aspect, once again, if I'm working, doing spell work on, trying to release anxiety and protect myself from that, then maybe I'm going to use a blue candle and I'm going to envision myself protected by blue light, right? And then I'm going to visualize that into the spell work. So that can be another way to use light in that way. So I said we were going to do it, right? We're going to talk about science. I'm a little bit of a nerd. I don't know if I'm a science nerd, but it is kind of cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to flip you off. That was not my intention. All right, so here's how it works, right? So chromotherapy has ancient roots. We talked about that, right? But what about today? So here's the thing. Each color in the visible light spectrum has its own specific wavelength and frequency. This is important because the light we can see can influence our bodies in a lot of ways. Red has a long wavelength, and that means it carries more energy, right? High energy frequency is believed to stimulate our circulatory system, increasing blood flow and energy levels. In other words, red is thought to help boost vitality. It's a great color for times when we need a little extra drive motivation. This is why red light therapy or infrared therapy, all of those things it's so popular, right? On the other hand, blue has a shorter wavelength, right? This means it's calming. It's no surprise that blue is often used in hospital rooms and spas, right? It's believed to have soothing properties. This might explain why we often feel more relaxed when surrounded by blue tones, In addition to red and blue, other colors also have distinct effects on our bodies. Research has shown that the color of a room or environment can directly impact our mood and energy. So, rooms painted with warm colors tend to make us feel more energetic and enthusiastic. It can stimulate excitement and activity, right? On contrast, if it's a cool color, it's more tranquil and calm. You know, that's why you see a lot of places that have green and all that kind of stuff. It promotes nature and balance and all that. So the scientific community, as I said, is not really all together in this, but there is some evidence to support the idea that color can influence our mood and perception, like I said. So once again, I'll repeat, and I'll repeat it to the day day is long. If it affects our brain and our stomach, which I like, once again, psychology, emotion, then it's bound to affect our body. It's just a give me, right? If I have high anxiety and I have high cortisol and I'm having problems sleeping and I'm gaining weight and all that stuff, and I use color to calm me down and release my anxiety so my cortisol levels start dropping, my brain stops creating that, then I'm going to have physical effects. It just makes sense that way. It's just logical, you know? So, but if you're someone who needs scientific proof, nothing is conclusive. Nothing is conclusive. All right, so let's talk about the spiritual, mystical side of chromotherapy. So, in chromotherapy, you know, here's the thing. If you've attended meditation classes or yoga, you've probably encountered colored lighting, and this is designed to help with energies, right? And a lot of spiritual practices, color plays a major role. So, in chromotherapy, colors are believed to correspond to different, as I said, physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. Each color is linked to a different chakra in the body. And when you work with these colors, you can help restore that balance. So here's a basic breakdown, okay? Once again, the chakras are not really my strong information. I know a lot about them now. I'm learning more and more about them, and I think they're amazing. So I'm going to kind of give a little bit of note, right? So red is vitality, passion, action. It is associated with the root chakra. And this root chakra really is in charge of like our sense of survival, security, and physical vitality, right? So if you're feeling energy or so surround yourself with red, and it might help you feel more powerful, right? It's definitely something that you can use to reconnect with your physical body and boost motivation, right? Orange is connected to creativity and enthusiasm, so therefore it's linked to the sacral, and the sacral is in charge of your emotions, your sexuality, your creativity. You know, orange is pretty uplifting and joyful, so it's talking about balance, you know, emotional balance and artistic expression. So if you're uninspired or stuck, orange might be the answer for you, right? Yellow is associated with clarity and intellect and personal power. So it is tied to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is in charge of self-confidence and the ability to make decisions. So if you're feeling like mentally foggy or maybe a little less confident than normal, yellow might help you out here, right? Green is balance and harmony and healing. It's linked to your heart chakra. Of course, your heart chakra covers love, compassion, and your emotional well-being. It could be a great time. It could be a great color for like to turn around like times of emotional distress. Physical healing, you can help emotionally ground you into peace. Like green is great for that kind of thing. So blue is attached to your throat chakra. And that is because it is a color of communication, truth, and expression. And the throat chakra covers your ability to speak our truth and communicate openly with others, right? So if you're having problems with like self-expression or just trying to be open and honest with people, you know, shy, anxious, whatever it is, using blue to kind of open up your throat chakra could be cool. Indigo is tied to your third eye. Whoop, 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 this area here. because it's about intuition and deep spiritual awareness. And the third eye is responsible for intuition, imagination, and perception, right? It can help deepen your connection with wisdom and really improve your ability to see beyond the surface. So if you're looking to be a little bit more intuitive, this might be the color to focus on. Lastly, you have violet, and it is with the crown chakra, and it's a spiritual connection, it's enlightenment, it's higher consciousness. The crown chakra is the chakra that connects us to the divine and the universal energies, and therefore, if you're looking for more spiritual growth or a deeper connection with your higher self, this is the color that you would want to envision, and you'd probably want to envision it in this area, right? Because that's where your crown is. All right, and that's kind of how it goes spiritually. Even if you're not tied into the chakra system, this is still pretty helpful to have. You know, chromotherapy is growing in popularity, and so people around the world are starting to embrace it a little bit more. You know, light therapy lamps. You'll find them in a lot of wellness centers and spas, even some hospitals. These lights emit different lights. They can help with seasonal affective disorder. You know, some individuals use color therapy glasses. These are filtered light to bathe the wearer in specific colors. You know, all this though, you know, even something as simple as certain colors in your living, all that kind of stuff, right? It's still, as I'm going to repeat, it's not, you know, science doesn't say it's for sure, but it seems to work, you know. I mean, don't dive just headfirst into it. You have to, you know that you have to go into it with an open mind and a realistic outlook, right? Chromotherapy can be very effective, but it's important to remember that it's not a replacement for traditional medical treatment. I think sometimes, and once again, I'll preface this is my opinion. I think sometimes when we're looking at holistic practices, we look at them as the answer for everything. And really, in truth, they can do a lot. Don't get me wrong, I'm a holistic practitioner. But it's not as a replacement for traditional medical treatment. It is like a partnership. I'm not saying going to the doctor is more important. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there are some cases where traditional medicine is going to be the better choice. You can use holistic medicine to kind of back it up a little bit. You know, if you're dealing with a medical condition or a health issue, you need to always consult your healthcare professional. I don't want any time I'm talking about these things for you to think I'm saying you should just stop going to the doctor and do this. You'll be fine. That's not the case. What I am saying is that, hey, if you went to the doctor and you added this in, maybe you'd see a little bit more help, right? And it's always good to talk about alternative therapies with your doctor. Some doctors are very open to it. Other doctors, maybe not so much so. But talking with them is important. So just please remember that. Please do that. So in the end, how can you experiment with chromotherapy? You know, listen to your body and your emotions. Think about how different colors affect you. Just really pay attention, you know. Try different things. You know, you can include it in your spiritual practice by visualization, like I said. You can use it in spell work by choosing certain colored gemstones, certain colored candles, all that kind of stuff. You can use it in your environment by choosing decor that's certain colors, whatever you want to do. There's tons of ways you can do it in a mindful way, right? It is a tool to be used, you know. It's considered an alternative therapy, but it has such deep historical roots. And there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that says that it holds a lot of potential for well-being. I don't think it's good to discount it. I don't think it's good to just rely on it completely. But obviously, as I have said several times in this podcast, if it affects your psychology and your emotional well-being, it therefore in the end is going to affect your physical well-being. It's just the way our bodies are made. It's just the way our bodies are made. To what degree? that is yet to be seen. But there's no doubt in my mind that there is a physical response, because our brain and our gut run everything in our body. And if we can soothe those or treat those, then our body is going to change. It just is. That's my opinion. That's what I have to say. And that's it for chromotherapy, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it gave you a little insight into some things. I hope maybe try it out. And if you do, let me know how it goes. And you can do that by reaching out to me through my social media or the email that I provide, if you like old school kind of things. Or you can just comment on the video and I'll chat with you here. If you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So as always, guys, like, I would love to talk with you. So please reach out, subscribe, follow, do all those things. Help me get out there into the world so more people can come and hang out with us and chat with us. If you want to support the podcast in another way, like a little there's ways to do that in the description box too. You can hit my Buy Me a Coffee and my Patreon. Also, if you want more information, check out my Medium publication. There's a lot of stuff over there. I cover subjects I've covered and subjects I haven't. And also, if you're into history and women, check out my other podcast, Where All the Ladies At. There's a link as well to that. That is it for today, guys. So I think, my sign off on both podcasts are pretty much the same, stay curious, stay blessed, stay safe. I'll see you on Thursday. Don't forget, Tarot Thursday is coming. All right, guys. I'll talk to you in a little while.